Hi everyone, and thanks for being with me. I'm going to talk a little bit today about Andrew Bolt's version of what's happening in the Middle East. And what does concern me primarily is his lack of perspective around what's the murders, the killings, the behaviour of both sides in regard to this conflict. Now, I'm just going to say from the beginning, and everybody says this, that what Hamas did was terrible. They're a terrorist organisation. We all know that. I don't want to completely go over that over and over again as they tend to. I'm going to let it go at that. But what we need to acknowledge at the moment is that there are far more Palestinians being killed in this conflict. Innocent people, not soldiers, not Hamas, but just innocent civilians being killed in Gaza. Now, we also need to understand that this conflict has been going on for many years, for 50 years. This conflict's been happening in the Middle East, whether it be in the West Bank, where the settlers treat the Palestinians in the most cruel, inhumane ways you can imagine, supported, of course, by Israel, where children are being captured and incarcerated for no other crime than the fact that they're Palestinian children. This happens all the time, that there have been many deaths inflicted upon the Palestinian people in the West Bank by Israel. So Israel, to argue, I guess, that Israel should be exonerated from anything that they've done simply because, in this instance, a terrorist group decided to enter into Israel and commit horrible offences that they did. That the reality is that Israel has been dominant over and has been working towards eradicating Palestinians forever. So, and Hamas are no better in that they've been wanting to eradicate the countryside of Israelis as well. So we understand both sides are pretty shitty, right? But the organisation that has the most power and has done for many years has been Israel, which has been predominantly supported by the United States. So this is a terrible conflict. Get it, understand that. But when you get people such as Andrew Bolt talking about these issues in the way that he does and highlighting specific situations the way he does, one has to call him out, because he is supposed to be and was a journalist, but these days he's just this opinion mouthpiece for Murdoch Press. So he is, in this instance, criticising a journalist for what she had to say or a question she asked the Israeli ambassador at the National Press Club during the week. So I'm going to play a little segment of this and have a look at whether or not you think that these are reasonable questions to be asking an ambassador. I believe they are, but Andrew Bolt has a completely different view, simply because on two fronts. Number one, he wants to have a shot at the ABC wherever possible for reasons I don't quite understand, but nevertheless that's what he does because he sees them as rather further left than what he is. And then he has a shot at the journalist in this particular case who is Syrian in relation to the question that she chooses to ask. I want you to look at this and say, do you think there's two questions. Do you think these are reasonable questions? Because I certainly think that they are.
ANC journalist Chantal Al-Khoury, who has a Syrian flag in her Twitter profile, she made crystal clear that she'd picked her side in this religious and racial conflict. Here's her first question.
I find that so disingenuous. It's like, Andrew, you haven't picked your side? Clearly you have. You yourself were a journalist at one point, a reputable journalist. But now you're just this hunk of shit that sits on Sky News spouting what Murdoch wants you to talk about. I don't even know whether he actually believes half the stuff he talks about anyway.
You've said in your speech today that Israel does not want to kill the Palestinian people and poses no threat to them. Don't these comments contradict your statement and instead demonstrate the Israeli government's blatant disregard for Palestinian civilians?
Great question. I think it's a fabulous question. It's a question anyone should be asked. It's a question we all should be asking. Are you blatantly not giving a shit about what happens to Palestinian people, innocent people, men, women, and children? So many children have died. We should be appalled at that. But Bolt thinks differently.
Now, that last bit sounds like a statement, not a question at all.
No, it was a question, buddy. It was a question. It ended with a question mark. Believe you me, it was a question.
Blatant disregard for Palestinian civilians. I mean, seriously? I mean, nothing Israel has done to civilians comes close to the wanton evil that Hamas...
Hold on. Let me just think about this statement for a moment. So the fact that twice as many Palestinians have been killed, not soldiers, innocent people in Gaza have been killed, that thousands of people actually get killed on the West Banks every year, maybe not thousands, but certainly there's a figure of 900 I saw the other day. So, you know, what are you saying? What message are you trying to give here in relation to the number of people that are innocently killed, but which you're not prepared to admit that it is the Israelis that are doing that part of the killing? Hamas, terrible, should be eliminated, get all of that. But you're agreeing that it's okay, Andrew Bolt, you believe that it's okay to kill all these innocent people?
It's done to Jewish ones. But it is true, Palestinian civilians are also dying in this war, even though Israel has warned them to get out of the way. Hamas doesn't offer that little escape.
I love that short, simple concession to the fact that Israelis are killing Palestinian people. But then there's a way he explains that, which is, well, they've been told when they're going to be bombed, when they're going to leave, in this small, confined, outdoor prison called Gaza, and that there's 2.5 million of them, and somehow they're expected to pick up their goods, bags, their shackles, and just move on to another location where there still is no guarantee. You know, it's just absolute bullshit, and it's really sad that people like Bolt need to talk about it in the way that they do.
Now, the reason that there are these deaths is that Hamas has hidden its military assets in schools and hospitals and in crowded streets, and has ordered Palestinian civilians not to flee because they want that.
And somehow, this is what really annoys me. Somehow that argument makes it okay that because Hamas are the horrific organisation that they are, and because they're telling people not to flee, doesn't alter the fact, Andrew, that lots of people are fleeing further south out of the conflict area, or as best as they can. It's trying to understand how difficult it would be for you and I, for example, to be told by somebody that we have to flee our homes. If I had to flee this home, I wouldn't know where to go. I really wouldn't. You know, does that mean we go out bush? Does that mean we go to places where we can't get food or water? What does it mean to leave your home? Well, I guess if you're going to be bombed, and the chances are that you might die and that your children might be killed, then I guess you are going to leave your home. But the question still remains, where does one go? How does one survive? What money do you take with you, if you've got any to take at all? And it just seems to me that this man is so disingenuous and so wrong in his version of what's taking place in the Middle East. And you know, I don't know whether you'd agree or disagree with any of these comments that I've made. If you've got any comment that you would like to make, please make it down below. I'd be delighted to hear from you. Is Andrew Bolt right? Are the questions that this journalist asked, are they appropriate under these circumstances? Well, I think they are. And did the ambassador need to, I don't know what responses, I haven't looked at the full video, I don't know what responses the ambassador gave, but the questions are reasonable, and we all should be asking the types of questions that this journalist was asking. Should she be sacked from the ABC? No, she should be congratulated for asking the questions, because they're important questions. But they're not the sort of questions that people like Andrew Bolt want us to ask, because they reveal the real nature of this conflict, which is that the Israel government is inflicting a great deal of damage and death on innocent people. Let me know what you think in the comments below. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves, and be safe.